All right, all right. Welcome to the 100 Health Show. That intro, let's get it. Hey, out to Big One Productions, Sleep in Peace King. Listen, love and miss him dearly. I am Miss Wells, America's health teacher, owner and operator of 1Hunnid Health Services. Basic steps to better health. Listen, woo! I cannot wait for today's episode. This is part two, you know, picking up on the conversation that we were having at the beginning of the month. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready to get it. Let's get it. So anywho, I don't know about y'all, but since this computer don't want to act like it's right, I was trying to get in Zoom on his laptop. I tell you, you think no matter how many times I done shut it down, restart it, it's like it seems like as soon as it's around this time of day, it just does not want to act right for what the main purpose I got it for, which is to be able to do this. So anywho, let's go ahead and make haste. I'm gonna just make it do what it do. I am Miss Wells, owner and operator of Abundant Health Services. As I said before, I am a former nationally certified and licensed athletic trainer. What that is simply when you watch a sporting event, you see the people that run out on the field. One of them is going to be the team physician. The others are people who have that title that I just mentioned, which are athletic trainers. So it's sports medicine. It's not a personal trainer. So we spend the bulk of our time and the bulk of my career has been about, helping people return to the play of game or to the play of their lives. And I've just noticed a lot of common themes as time has gone on. And as you get to know like players and athletes and their families and just questions through the years. And also my personal story with my grandmother, rest in heaven, whose birthday was yesterday, actually, who inspired me to get on this journey altogether, point blank. I just noticed certain things. And I noticed that heart disease was taking us out. And people younger and younger were starting to have their first heart attacks, even dying, having high blood pressure, their livers turning to fat. And I just also thought about just once I started doing all of the things that they said that we're supposed to do nutritionally, I put on an enormous amount of weight. I'm talking about 88 pounds in 1 year. Okay. So clearly all of that stuff that they had taught was not, correct as far as nutrition went. And you would think that I would have said like, oh, there's something wrong here. No, I thought, okay, I just got to do this harder. So now, although I'm metabolically healthy, I'm still, clinically obese. And so there's such a nuance to metabolism and your weight and things that cause disease, heart disease and all these things. So although I have a family history of it, I've done some specific things to make sure that I have monitored my own numbers to make sure that I'm lowering my risk day by day. And I'm taking the slow drip method, like I'm doing like the tortoise in the hare. So I want to win the weight. So I'm taking the tortoise approach to weight loss. Okay. So now that y'all at my business in that regards, I am a new GMA, so I'm super excited about that. I'm a mom also, but I lost my grandmother to heart disease, and she was only 59 when she passed away. And I don't know about you, but I think that's awfully young. And when I think about that, I'm thinking about the time, as far as like right now, like I'm 43. So that would mean like I only have like a decade and a half left. And that's not okay with me. That's not enough time for me. So seeing and knowing what the family history is, I wanted to do something different and I wanted to be able to impact as many people's lives and even other providers' lives, and just delving into the research. So I'm like, hey, put me in the game, coach. Like, I'm ready to really go and cut to the chase, because that's what we do as an athletic trainer. You know, listen, we needed to get there as quick and as safe as possible. So I use that same approach when it comes down to health and health education. And I've always known that I wanted to be a health teacher. So I dubbed myself America's health teacher. Yeah, like my new glasses. Hey, I feel you. All right. So last time I spoke to you all about your your most important health numbers, which was your waist to hip ratio and your water. And I told you guys we had more. And then I also spoke to you guys about blood pressure. So I hope that you really truly did your calculations for your waist to hip ratio. Again, a recap, ladies, you should be less than 0.8. If not, there's specific things that you can do to start lowering your visceral fat. Like, there are things that you can do. It's not hopeless. So it's better to know so that you can actually, do something about it before you let it get too far out of control. If you're a gentleman, it's less than 0.9. If anybody is over 1 point anything, you're in the danger zone, and you need to reduce that. You need to actively go ahead and work on reducing that number. So check out the previous episode if you wanted to know how to do that. And I've shared it on the page, Abundant Health Services, the waist to hip ratio video. I shared how you do it. And I'll reshare it again on my timeline for those of you who are watching this live on Facebook. All right, so moving on. I also told you guys your body weight. So let's say if your weight was 100, you divide that number by 2, and that's how you determine how many ounces you would need, which would be 50 ounces of water for the day. And now that water is inclusive of your teas, your coffees, because all of those are water-based. That's how the liquid is. I'm not counting sodas, all that other kind of foolishness. Like, the actual water content that you put into something, like the water content that you put in a smoothie, if you made it yourself, then, sure, by all means, you can, calculate that. But trying to, calculate what some restaurant or some, juice bar or something did, that's looking real fuzzy. You base your meals around your water intake. Your water intake is so important. That's one of your that and your hip ratio, most important numbers. And remember, I told you your blood pressure needed to be below 120 over and below 80. So the top number needs to be less than 120. The bottom number needs to be less than 80. All right, let's move on. I'm feeling like I'm in the teacher mode, today. So I want to teach you guys actually how you can calculate. And these are good for just like a general reference, because there is a nuance to this. There are certain people who will fall outside of these parameters, of this. So, take this and you have this as like a starting point, and then, tweak it from there to find the zone that's going to be just right for your metabolic footprint. We all have it's almost like a fingerprint. We all have a metabolic footprint, and none of us respond 100% the exact same way to something as anyone else. Okay. For the most part. So your heart rate. So you're going to take 222. This is the old school formula. I know there's other new school stuff and all these different whiz-bang, methods and stuff, but if it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it. And again, you can tweak this. And I actually have another simulator. If you want me to calculate a more accurate one for you, you can shoot me an email, wellsofwellness@yahoo.com, wellsofwellness@yahoo.com, and send me that message and just put in the subject line, fat burn zone. And I'll know that that's what you are looking for. So I would need to know, your age and your height and weight. So that way I can get you some accurate numbers. All right. So you take 220, you subtract that from your age. Okay. So let's say the person is 40, get a nice round number. All right. So that means the number we're going to get, I'm going to call that MHR, which is your max heart rate. So 220 minus 40 is going to give me what? 180. So that's a very important number for you to know, because when you're determining your fat zone, it can be anywhere between 60 and 80%. So here's the thing. Here's the rule of thumb, especially what we use in sports medicine. We go right down the middle. So the average is going to be like around 70%. We typically don't even try to go to use the 60% unless for certain circumstances. But for the most part, we go right in at 70. So what does that formula look like? So I would take 180 and you multiply it by 0.70. The number you get to that, the number you get from that, that is going to be your specific fat burn zone for your age group. Now, I said there's nuance to this because there's some other factors that can come into play. So if you want me to populate this into my simulator, or if you just, this is good enough to get you started. So on the low range, you would take that 180 and multiply it by 0.60. On the high range, you could multiply it by 0.80. So let's say, for instance, if you were a vigorous exerciser, or maybe you are a pro athlete that's transitioning into, regular everyday, post competitive life, then maybe you can come in at that 0.80 to get into your fat burning zone. You understand? So that's why there's a range. But for the most part, with most people, your fat burn zone is going to be 70%, which is 0.70. That's important to know, because some people, they're like, oh, I'm doing everything right. Oh, I'm doing this, trying this, I'm working out hard, and I'm not losing any weight. Well, you could be stressing your body. So stress is a fat storing hormone. It's not a fat spending hormone. Your body don't want to spend fat when it's stressed out. You understand? And most of us have plenty of carbohydrates, stored up to be able to burn that for days and days and days. You understand? So this is why you can't only base it on it's not just about what you're eating. It's not just about you working out. So if you were over exercise, when you get beyond your fat burning zone, then you're not doing you're not giving your metabolism what it needs to spend that fat calorie money, is what I call it. So you want to make sure that you're aware of what your zone is so that you could play around with it. Now, if you just are someone that just like high intensity, I have a client that health freak, as I like to call them, that enjoys working out and enjoys intense workouts. However, the fat burn zone, she was not, doing it for a time, and she wasn't yielding the results that she wanted. So once I made her aware of it, she ensured that she regularly gets into her fat burning zone. And, in addition, she does, those other intense workouts. She reduced the quantity of them during the week, but she's seeing so much more results now because she's not over exercising. And over exercising is the equivalent of you're in the middle of a war zone. Your body thinks, oh my God, I got to store up for the winter. We ain't gonna eat. You get what I'm saying? So it's not generous with spending fat. You get what I'm saying? So I hope that I'm being clear. So once she stopped stressing herself out by over exercising and spending a lot more time in her fat burning zone, which is lower intensity, longer stretches of time type of activity, like a Tai Chi, like lower intensity yoga, because there are forms of yoga that is pretty high intensity, and it's great to do interval training because you can get the best of both worlds, because building muscle is something that's important as well. But walking, you won't get shredded from that. But if you want to legitimately just continuously lose weight and walking, your body will pull from your fat stores. Like fat currency is the energy that it wants to spend when you're walking. You understand? So that is why walking is so much more effective when you're talking about specifically, weight loss and wanting to lose weight. Okay. So I hope that part was clear. I love this stuff. All right. The teacher in me just, so to recap those formulas. So it's 220 minus your age. Number that's your max heart rate. Okay. I just call it MHR. You take that number and you multiply it by multiply your maximum heart rate number by 0.7 number. If you need to tweak it some more, you can multiply that number, your max heart rate, by 0.60. On your activity level, because everybody that's within the same age class is not of the same metabolic, don't have the same similar metabolism, don't have the same, exercise or lifestyle, movement style type, thing. There's a lot of other variables that when you turn 35, you take a huge hit. And for fellas, once you get 45 and up, you're taking a huge hit, reduction in there's a hormonal change and shift. So all right, let's move on. I want to talk to you guys so you know how much money you spending when you digesting them calories. So I want you to know your basal metabolic rate. Now, this is a really, really loose general formula if you want your specific one. So this may be off by a couple hundred calories or so, maybe anywhere from 100 to 300 calories. In one case, I saw it off by 400 calories. So anyway, so you take your body weight, you multiply that by 10 if you're a woman. So that's basically whatever your weight is, you add a 0 on it. That is your basal metabolic rate. That's how many calories your body has to spend to keep you breathing. That ain't even including any exercise or anything else that you got to do. Just, for you to lay, you breathing and sleep. Okay? That's a minimum that it's going to spend in a 24-hour period. All right? So let's say, for instance, if you were 200 pounds. So by that, and you're a woman, or I'm sorry, let me be more technical. If you are a human, an XX human, XX chromosome human, that formula would be, your weight times 10. And you would simply just add a 0 on the end. That's the easy way to multiply tens. I don't know if y'all learned that trick when you were at school. So if you are 250 pounds, that's 2,500 calories. That's what your BMR is, 2,500. Okay, 2,500 just for you to breathe. All right. So as you can see, that's a lot of. It's expensive to keep you alive. All right. So for men, that's different. Your formula is your weight times 11. Let's try this again. Weight times 11. I'll say this again. This is a caveat that this is a rough estimate because, age, height, there's some variables that I can calculate in my simulator. I'm not doing that, here. I'm just giving you a general formula to get you into the ballpark. All right. So you already know this number is a little bit lower, probably by another 100 or 200 calories. Okay. So these formulas, I just want you guys to keep in mind, at the time that a lot of these studies were done, especially like in the 80s and 90s, these were done on primarily who was in college at the time, young white males between the ages of 18 and 25, roughly. So that's why I'm saying there's a nuance to some of the formulas, because obviously, women are, there's a difference for us. As you age, there's a difference. So that if you want those, you can email me at wellswellness@yahoo.com, and you can put in BMR, and I'll know what that is, and I'll go ahead and run the calculation, height, your weight, and your age. Okay. So anywho, your body weight times 10. All right. Or XX and this, that, and the other. Okay. I just can't do it. So if you need me to be technical, XX times 10. For XY humans or XXY humans, its body was YY human. All others other than XX humans, you are times 11. Okay, just that. Sorry, difference. So it gives you an advantage. So you can multiply it. Now that you have your BMR. So let's say, for instance, we're talking about someone that is, so let's say we're talking about someone that is 2000, their BMR is 2000, okay? So to get your general digestion calories, which is super, super important and good for you to know, you would take that number and you multiply it by 0.1. So generally speaking, when you eat something outside of empty calories and unhealthy junk food, you would be spending roughly, you just take away the zero now, because you're multiplying by 0.10, drop the zero. That was the little trick I learned. All right, so that would be 200 calories just for chewing. Now, so here's the beautiful thing. This is why what you actually eat, it's not about just counting calories. It's what you're going to be net stuck with. So it's expensive to chew and to consume fruits and vegetables, which means sometimes you can eat something, let's say, for instance, if that apple was 100 calories, what you're going to spend to chew and to process that might be a free food for calorie money than you want to. This is where you start to be able to play with those numbers. So fruits and metabolic rate, which is BMR, that will be that number times expensive to energy wise. It costs a lot. So that's why it's so great, you know? Protein is super expensive. Protein costs 0.25, baby. So I don't know about you, but again, it makes a difference. So if your body, let's say for instance, that protein maybe 100, let's say 100 calories. You get what I'm saying? So okay, now we're not even getting into all the other nutrients that's within the whatever it was, or maybe it was an avocado or something, you know, a healthy fat or something like that, depending on what it was. So you're talking about if that thing was 100 calories, off bat, like 25%, we're talking about 25 of them just gonna be gone just from the, you know, think about evaporation, or if you boil in water, like it's gonna be gone just from the chewing process. That's something great. But here's the flip side, junk food, you know, cakes, cookies, all that kind of stuff that you eat, junk food. Listen, you're talking about 2% burn. So that's 0.02. So you calorie a calorie. Listen, what you're going to keep in and what's in it is totally different. So when you're eating something like avocados set backfires. They actually burn other fat, stored up fat. So again, what you're in your body totally different. Same thing with fruits and veggies, and even less sweet. Now, when you go into, you know, the nuance of like whether you're perimenopausal or menopausal or over the age of 40, there is a nuance. Carb intake aren't as harmful as, you know, other processed sugars. You have to monitor, and you may have the same. Okay. So that's where I was saying the nuance of these, and it becomes very handy when you can see how much calorie money you spend in just to consume a fruit and a veggie. That's why you would want your fruits and veggies to be more dominant in your meals throughout the day versus all the other stuff. You know, dairy, you need to dead it. You know, that you got to look at that as empty calories for the most part. Seriously. And grains, foolery, tomfoolery. If it ain't sprouted grains, it's empty calories. That's how I got big. Seriously. I put on 33 pounds in 1 month when I did an overhaul to everything that I was doing. And anybody who knows me for quite a few years can tell you, like, I was a health nut, and I definitely, I'll put up pictures. Many of you have seen me. I definitely wasn't the weight that I am now. And so when you start to put on and you follow that food pyramid that they put out in the 90s, I'm telling you, it's going to have you stuck like Chuck. It will lead to morbid obesity. This is why we have the obesity crisis and type 2 diabetes as we do now. Because they was around here putting some freaking heart healthy labels on freaking cereal, Cheerios, Fruit Loops and stuff. Come on, man. Instead of calling it for what it was, instead of telling us the truth about these grains, about milk and dairy and all like 3 to 5 servings and 11 servings of grains and stuff, man, come on. It leads to pure issues that we have here in America. That is exactly how I got fat. You don't have to be that way. I'm giving you the game. This is why I'm giving you something to get ahead. Don't fall for the trap. Don't fall for the foolishness. These people don't care about you and your health. All they care about is a profit. They don't care. So get that out your head that they're your friends. That's why I'm trying to give you a formula so that you know how to calculate your numbers for your best interest. But they took people who were health educators like myself. They took it out of the curriculum. So obviously most schools are not going to employ people if it's no longer a high school requirement. You understand? So look at what's happened with our kids. You got 12-year-olds whose livers have turned to fat and need liver transplants. This is insane. Their livers are as sick as somebody who was an alcoholic for 60, 70 years. That's insane, just from food. So all foods are not equal. So your BMR, if you're a male, your body weight times 11. Or if you need me to be politically correct, if you're anything, if you're a human, Homo sapien sapien, because that's what our current species is, anything Homo sapien sapien other than a XX, then your formula for basal metabolic rate is your body weight times 11. For those who is a Homo sapien sapien XX, since we need to, talk about chromosomes just to be, people don't took over a whole alphabet system. I can't keep up with all that. I care about your health and you living. So if you're an XX chromosome human, then your formula is body weight times 10. All the other humans with all the different other variations of XXY, XXY, and all of the other variations of chromosomes and types. Here's the thing. I'm sorry, by 11. Your body weight times 11. Your basal metabolic rate is super important to keep you alive. So now you have something, a guide by which you can, when you do, from which you can work from. So in a 24-hour period, every single day. So if you, every single day, just to keep you breathing, your body finna spend about 3,000 eating. That's none of that. So now when you factor in what it takes for coffee, knowing that number. So let's say, for instance, a 3,000 pound person. So when they eat a vegetable, that's 3,000 times 0.20. That'll be how many calories it takes that they're spending just to eat that item. Understand? So this matters. So if you want me to give you your exact BMR to factor in for your height, your age, send me an email, wellsofwellness@yahoo.com, and you send me that information and I'll do the exact calculations, because you might got to reduce this by a couple hundred calories give or take, because there is a differential when it comes down to your metabolism as you age. And you take a dip, for everybody that's your testosterone as well as your estrogen levels, and yes, XY levels. And estrogen is very important for you because that is a part of, it's a cortisol blocking, basically a fat. Although males or XY, derivatives have, a lower level of it, estrogen is very, very important. And here's things that, people joke about the dad bod. Here's what happens when a male, it knows and is long winters. That means that we were also going to be up longer throughout the night. It's so fascinating. If you drop, and not only just your testosterone, also your estrogen levels are not where they need to be. If estrogen is not there, you don't have enough of it to protect. That's how you end up with that dad bod, usually like 1 and 2 years old. And men tend to get theirs where it's the most dangerous, which is the visceral fat and in the belly area. So those fat cells just like, no, no, no. We got to hold on to everything we got because, the young need us. Same thing with women. So I hope you guys understand, I'm telling you these things so that you can work around, some of the biology that we, which was a survival mechanism for us, but just so that you can get a workaround with it. All right. So your basal metabolic rate is super important. Your hormones are important. It's not just about cutting calories. It's also understanding your lifestyle, to burning fat, and whether or not you gain or lose weight, or whether or not your waist to hip ratio, is out of whack. So it's super important. So again, make sure that if you're a guy or if you're a XY human or XY human, anything biologically in XX, you need to be under zero point 0.8. There's no offense, I just can't remember all these different new terms. Needs to be under 0.8. Any other, X variation chromosome human, your ratio needs to be under 0.9. XX humans are the ones that are at the disadvantage when it comes down to all these. A lot of people, especially when it's we're talking about here in America, one in two Americans are pre-diabetic. So I want you Okay, sorry about that. Think that, Zoom had kicked me out for a second there. Hey, not sure what was happening with that, but as I was saying, all adult humans should be under 5.7. You can ask your doctor when you go for your checkup, or you can just simply buy one of those tests. Some of the pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens, sometimes they do free, testing. Get your A1C checked. Just find out what it is. Don't accept, the doctors, just saying, oh, your A1C is good. What's good? You need to know what your actual number is, because if you at 5.6, then maybe you need to, you right there at that borderline. So maybe there's some things that you could be doing dietary wise, like having, a teaspoon of cinnamon inside of some green tea daily that can help you. So pre-diabetes is anywhere between 5.7 and 6.5. You can catch it before you get it. But if you don't know what that number is or what it means, so listen, if you're between 5.7 and 6.5, that's a problem. And 1 in 2 Americans are pre-diabetic. That's a problem. This thing is bigger than your weight. This is why I keep telling people, y'all think it's just, y'all better get, the weight loss industry has bamboozled y'all. You know how many skinny people got diabetes? Dame Dash is a famous person. You could easy reference. And I personally know of thin people who have type 2 diabetes, who have diabetes. So don't think that, or pre-diabetes. You do not have to be overweight or obese to have diabetes. Diabetes is a problem in America. 1 in 2 people have pre-diabetes. That's what the weight loss industry is not telling y'all. But everybody's caught up on weight. You need to be caught up on what type of nutrients that you're putting in your body. This thing is bigger than, technically, by my weight and the time that I've been at the weight that I am, I should have been technically pre-diabetic or diabetic. I've never been, because I know the macro and the micronutrients that I need. You got to ask yourself, why aren't all of these Olympians and NFL, linemen, they've played in college, they've been technically obese since, probably high school on through the time that they were in the league. It don't take you a long time to develop diabetes. Why don't all of them, all of these people who are clinically, technically, we're going on the weight premises, then why don't they have diabetes and high blood pressure and all these other things that they say that are solely caused by obesity? I'm telling you, it's possible to get healthy while you're overweight. You could then lose weight from there. But it's more important to know your numbers and get healthy first. You can be metabolically healthy and obese. It does exist. I've proven it to you, showed you guys the data. You can look up, you got to take my word for it. Dr. Philip Scherb, somebody way smarter than me, who's done a whole lot of work and research over the past few decades. Listen, hey, there's 4 different classifications of humans in health. You have skinny fat people, which are they're lean and fat at the same time on the inside, meaning they're unhealthy. And those are the people who are going to have all of these. They're going to die just like a unhealthy, obese person. You don't have to be one of them. What you do with your fork does matter. Things like cinnamon, turmeric, and ginger, having things that are anti, diabetes, and dead in the sodas, that's the part that they ain't telling y'all. Yo, soda is a backstabber. I'm telling y'all. Fake cheese, which is American cheese, is a backstabber. These people is putting you in a pipeline to an early grave. They like the OJ say, they smiling in your face all the while they trying to take your place. They backstabbers. They stabbing you in your back and they trying to take your lifeline, and they are taking it. 1 in 2 Americans are pre-diabetic. 1 or 2, that's 50% of the population. Don't matter about weight, none of that. Don't matter even the race. 50% of Americans. 50. And then now when you factor in those who got full-blown diabetes, which is 6.5 and above, this is a problem. This is a problem. People are dying. Kids are dying. Kids getting this. This used to be called adult onset diabetes. Now people I think if I remember the story correctly, I was listening to Dame Dash Joy. I think he was diagnosed with it when he was a child. Come on, man. Come on. Listen, I love y'all. I want to see you win. Make sure you check your A1C, find out what those results are. You could order the at-home test and kits, or you could get it checked at your doctor, or the pharmacy probably sells them. Make sure you know your fat burning zone rate. If you're someone that knows that you want to improve your metabolism or shed a few pounds, sometimes people go too hard and they go outside of that zone, and so their body is not able to tap into their fat stores. It's going to tap into your carbs and use that for fuel. So make sure you know what your basal metabolic rate is, so that you can play around with those things and figure out the right metabolic rate that you want to actually be at. So I love y'all. I want to see you winning your health. Make sure you check your hip ratio. Make sure you get that number under the number that it needs to be for your specific chromosomal gender. So if you're an XX human, it needs to be under 0.8. Anybody else, it needs to be under 0.9. For everybody, it cannot be 1 point anything. All right. I love y'all. This is Miss Wells, and this has been the 1Hunnid Health Show, part 2 of Know Your Numbers. I will be continuing this conversation with another set of numbers on Health Class USA this Saturday. If you guys have any names you want to add to our prayer list, please make sure that you send them to us, and make sure that you tune in 12:15. Our prayer starts at 12 p.m. But if you want to add any names to our community health prayer list, let us know, and I will add that name to the list. But I'm going to do part 3 to this conversation this Saturday at 12:15. I hope you tune in. I had to go over. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day. Does anybody want to check in? Tell us where you calling from. If not, Love you guys and appreciate you tuning in to the show.